In this lecture, I want to provide you with principles to guide your desire to be a wise leader. Before we start, however, we should remember that wisdom is aspirational. There's no such thing as absolute wisdom. But take heart from the Stoic philosophers who would never dare to call themselves sages, but nonetheless strove for the ideal. An avid golfer would not give up playing because she could not reach a score of 18 over 18 holes. Neither should those seeking to be wise give up trying. The second important point to realise is that wisdom must be placed in the real world. Not much good is achieved by growing a beard and living in a cave high up in the mountain. That is why I call this wisdom theory social practice wisdom. Finally, being a wise leader is tough, very tough, in our contemporary world. This is because we are beset by continual change, by dominant discourses that valorise efficiency, profit and technological advance, regardless of its impact on society, a looming environmental catastrophe, and the overwhelming tendencies of organisations that intimidate those who challenge business as usual. Here are 7 principles to guide those seeking to be a wise organisational leader. 1. Above all else, wise leaders are committed to eudaimonia, or human flourishing. Thus, a wise person displays the moral virtues outlined by Aristotle. They are humane, virtuous, tolerant, and empathetic. Wise people embody manifest good character because they desire the social good. They value the long-term and communitarian good over short-term expediency. In this respect, it is vital that wise leaders are open-minded, open to critique, and open to new experiences. 2. Wise leaders are able to draw sound inferences by accessing relevant information and logically deriving explanations and conclusions. However, they understand that so-called facts emerge from assumptions about what counts as true knowledge, and that these must sometimes be challenged. Through self-critique, wise people allow their own assumptions to be tested. The capacity to tolerate ambiguity and uncertainty is a major predictor of wisdom. Those who are unable to tolerate ambiguous or uncertain situations become anxious, which reduces our capacity to think clearly and leads to micromanaging behaviours. Wise people acknowledge the limitations of reason and fact. Hence, they allow a place for the metaphysical, which includes insight, philosophy, and intuition, and the non-rational. Wise people also reflect and draw on their own experience, which provides the crystallised intelligence that supplements fluid intelligence. Wise people understand that life is contingent because unexpected things happen. Loved ones die, relationships break down, accidents happen, or external variables beyond our control occur. They know the folly of assuming that life will follow a predictable and linear narrative. Wise people imagine possibilities and think of how to make them come true. That is, wise people supplement fact and logic with transcendent thinking, creativity, imagination, intuition, and insight. 4. Wise people display emotional homeostasis, or stability, and emotional empathy. Emotional homeostasis means the ability to know and regulate our emotions through self-control. A commonly used term for this is emotional intelligence. Aristotle first told us to acknowledge that emotions occur naturally. Rather than refusing to acknowledge certain emotions, we should try to understand why we have that emotional response to a particular stimulus. Regulating our emotions limits the possibility of rushing to conclusions by developing non-judgmental awareness of others. In terms of emotional empathy, this helps leaders to be wise in two ways. First, understanding others' emotional reactions develops deep understanding of the other, which is crucial to meaningful dialogue. Second, we can use our awareness of others' emotional characteristics to appeal to them in a positive way. 5. Wise people set time aside for self-insight, which involves reflecting on past actions. Sometimes this requires solitude and quiet, preceded by meditation. Sometimes it requires a debrief with a respected colleague or requesting a 360-degree evaluation, which is an honest evaluation of your performance from those above and below you, as well as stakeholders. Re-establishing connections with the natural world is vital, particularly for those who spend most of their time in offices. Understanding that we are part of a larger ecosystem is both literally and metaphorically true. A physical presence in the natural world literally grounds us. 6. Wise people have practical intelligence in organisational contexts. Because this is usually only acquired with experience, older people tend to be better at it. However, less experienced people can acquire some of this practical intelligence by seeking ethical and successful mentors. Practical intelligence includes practical political acumen, being highly knowledgeable about an organisation's strengths, weaknesses and real priorities, dealing with internal politics, power and status. Tacit knowledge. This is acquired without help from others by being actively involved in particular situations or contexts. Evaluating a problem or situation without imposing one's own values, as well as understanding the environmental priorities and norms of the organisation. 7. Wise people have the ability to articulate their judgments in aesthetic and creative ways. Aesthetic means formulating decisions and advice in a way that is understandable and which is sensitive to people's feelings. The quality of a leader's communication with organisational members, whether it be communicating a vision or explaining technical detail, hugely impacts the leader's effectiveness. So, there you have a checklist to help guide you in your quest to be a wise leader. However, we don't become wise by ticking off items on a list. We must work towards building a virtuous disposition. Our actions naturally emerge from a disposition which is comprised of intellectual and moral virtues infused by values. Peterson and Seligman pointed out in their 2004 book Character, Strengths and Virtues that virtues embody values when the behaviour they organise and direct becomes habitual. As my Taiwanese colleague Shi-Ying Yang argues, when leaders exert positive influence to promote good lives for themselves, members of their organisation and society in general, wisdom is displayed through their leadership.